Hi everyone. This is Gina, Psychic PRN, where I do mental health videos as well as self-improvement. Today, I'm gonna focus on what gaslighting is as well as what love bombing is. So these videos have evolved into focusing a lot more on difficult and narcissistic relationships and how to spot red flags for when you get with someone who's narcissistic. So, those relationships can be work related relationships, can be um, sibling relationship, parent child relationship, or work. There's a lot of managers, bosses who are narcissistic. Actually, the personality type actually is very predominant in higher ups. And even in the church, there's a lot of narcissistic leaders, pastors, things like that. So how do you spot it so you can best protect yourself, especially if you're somebody who we call highly sensitive type personality? And a lot of highly sensitive type personality types tend to gravitate towards narcissistic personalities. So just so you know. So what's gaslighting? So I will illustrate that by using a story. So there's this couple, they started living together, everything was going well. The lady's a gymnast. So every time she goes to work out and things like that, she likes to come back home and use ice to ice her legs because she gets really sore. So she always makes sure she has ice in the freezer before she goes. So this particular day she was gonna go, but she put the ice in there. But before she left, they got into a little argument with her partner, and the partner had some alternative mind or alternative idea on what he was gonna do because now they're like settled in. He's starting to show his actual personality to this lady. So when she left, he was very angry. He was entitled. He didn't have any empathy towards her and what she felt when she came back or what she felt overall. That's kind of like the beginning. So he took the ice and dumped it in the trash or wherever he dumped it to melt out. So she came back home. She was like, oh, went to the freezer, looked everywhere for the ice. It wasn't there. Asked him, hey, I put ice here. I bought ice. Where is the ice? She's like, well, you didn't put any ice. You didn't buy any ice. There's no ice in the freezer. So you might have not bought it. She's like, no, I know that I bought ice. So they went back and forth like this until she was like, when the whole argument settled down, she was like, did I not buy ice? I think I bought ice. Like, what? So this happened a couple times, and eventually she started like doubting her own self, her own sanity. Is like, I know I buy ice all the time. Until one day she like put a video somewhere and recorded it and saw him actually taking it and throwing it away and confronting him, and he was like, even still, he was like, no empathy. It's like, yeah, something wrong with you. That's why I told you need to get yourself checked out and you need to get help because you're always starting something. You're always looking for faults. You're always trying to make me feel bad. So that lack of empathy, that lack of self accountability, he didn't say, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I was mad at you for this and that, and this is why I did it. So there's no accountability. There's no empathy. There's a sense of entitlement. Everything is all about me, 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 me all the time. So that's how that's so see how that goes. And this can show up in so many different ways, like a boss who might tell you, maybe an email you send or something you did, something that you do is always not right, where they make, the boss might make you always feel less than yourself. You're always reprimanded at work. You always feel bad. You always feel anxious going to work because this particular boss is always happy or wazoo about everything that you're not doing right. And eventually, if you don't take care and take time for yourself, you might start believing that you're not good enough, or you're not good at the job, or you don't know what you're doing, or you're not qualified, or, especially with people of color too, or women. And plus being a person of color, and you're in an environment at work where you're a minority, you can easily feel discouraged, feel afraid, feel anxious, have panic, be always scared to go to work because you don't know what this boss is going to be telling you every time you show up, because it's always something you did wrong or didn't do right. And sometimes they set you up for failure, so to speak. It's part of their challenge. It's called their their fool. So they need narcissistic people, always need that fool. They only need that scapegoat, that person who is highly sensitive, breaks down, start crying easy, things like that, to get going with their supply. So it's like they're looking for what we call narcissistic supply. So look out for those signs. Now, so I don't ram on too much, I'm going to jump on right from gaslighting to describing what love bombing is in a narcissistic type relationship. Love bombing, when you first start, so typical in that relationship that I described to you, where the guy was putting the ice in the trash and making her feel like she's crazy, doubting her own reality, is that when they first started, in a case like that, the guy probably was like loving on her, buying her flowers, expensive trips, buying her gifts on her birthday. Everything was on point. Like, and I'm sure the girl will probably be telling her friends, "Oh my God, I got this guy. He's so wonderful. He's so great. He does all these things for me. Takes me out for expensive dinners." Expensive, but maybe just nice. It doesn't have to be expensive, like just nice, lavishing on her, buying her flowers, you know, sending her flowers to work, surprising her birthday, Valentine's Day, whatever. If she's a mother, maybe Mother's Day, just kind of lavishing on her, loving on her, things like that. And then they get together, and then guess what? Everything becomes crickets, right? Nothing is good enough anymore. Everything is your fault. Nothing is ever their fault, though. So a highly sensitive person, or a victim of somebody who is like that, who's narcissistic, maybe even an abuser, and not be physical, maybe more emotional, psychological abuse, is that the person, the victim or highly sensitive person, always fall prey to this, and might be falling apart, even they have some self-esteem start to begin with. So you just watch out for relationship where it's like the beginning is just so like, oh my God, look at this is such a catch, this is wonderful. And then you don't take time, months or a year or two down the line, everything becomes like, ooh, then you're like, whoa, I thought you loved me, I thought you cared for me, I thought da da da. And at that point, you're already kind of sold in. That's why you just have to be careful. Look at the red flags. What are the red flags? What are you showing? Relationship just be something you're easing into. Your friendship, become friends first, and kind of everything just slow, like quote unquote normal, flow, without like the big, like bang, like wow, look at this. They are buying gifts to your parents and taking your parents to trip. If you have kids, maybe they are buying your kids gift, making them feel like, like, oh my God, this guy loves even my kids so much. He's lavishing on them. He's like into them, taking them out, taking them to baseball game, basketball game, gymnastics. He's like there, maybe you have an ex. The ex might not be that great, but they show up and they are the champion. The kids are loving this new guy. And all of a sudden, when you get caught into it, then they're like, then you're like, oh my God, what did I do? So be careful out there with relationships. Really take time, get to know the person. And in my previous relationship, like I said, relationships do have expiration dates. So you getting into it knowing that would be helpful to a lot of us ladies, especially when most ladies are the highly sensitive personality type. So looking out for some of the signs. If you're on a dating scene, you're young, you're looking out, just look out for some of those signs, like you're not falling head over heels. Use your head. So use your head, look at the signs. Don't get your heart broken. Know that relationship had an expiration date, but still enjoy. Because hey, life is to be enjoyed. Life is to have fun. But at the same time, also just kind of ease into it. Look for the signs. Be level-headed. Look for help. Start counseling even ahead of time before settling down. Especially if you have kids, make sure you do some counseling. Make sure you check them out, background check them, check their credit score, check their history. Make sure there's nothing missing, okay? You don't want a year or two down the line and be like, whoa, what did I do? So, catching you today on the topic of gaslighting and also on love bombing. I'll be coming more topics surrounding toxic, difficult, narcissistic relationships, and I'll get you more tidbits on what to do if you're dating, you're in a relationship already, you're suffering, to know what it is. Because when you're educated and you know what narcissistic type personality is healing. I know for me, it's been healing for me to know that some partner or partners I've had or bosses I've had or even parents. My dad is narcissistic. I don't mind telling him. Me and my dad are friends right now. I talk to him all the time. He's very narcissistic. He was narcissistic all my life growing up. Where a lot of our African men are narcissistic. It's a big spectrum though. So some people might be on the lower spectrum of narcissism, but then other people are like higher up where they can really do a lot of damage. They're toxic because toxic men can damage as well toxic women too. So just watch out for those personality types. This is not to bash any personality type or anybody, but this is just to bring education. So for what you know, you take steps to better it. You take steps to prepare yourself. You take steps so you're not, broken because okay, this is not me. This is that person, because you have to differentiate that, this is not me. This is them. You put that line there, put that boundary there. You do better. You thrive better. You whip it in your head. Like I always say, you can whip it everywhere else in your life, including your relationship with maybe some narcissistic or toxic personality types you might have in your life. So until the next video, I'll catch you there. Have a great, wonderful rest of the days ahead of the year. I'll catch you in the next video. Ciao.